I built an automation that turns sales calls into personalized proposals in seconds. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I built it. I record all of my calls, all of my sales calls, consultations, etc., in a tool called Fireflies. This is one of those AI meeting note takers. I'm sure everybody and their mama has one. My mama actually has one. It records your calls and it creates a transcript of everything that you say in the call. In real life, this would be triggered by the creation of a new meeting, but because I'm doing a demo, this is how we're going to start the process. So I trigger this webhook. I am pulling the transcript from Fireflies here. Make is going to analyze the Fireflies transcript, pull out certain information, what we call the deal intelligence. Anthropic is going to turn all of that deal intelligence into the content for a Google Doc. It looks beautiful. It's in on a single page, nicely formatted. That Google Doc is going to be linked to an Airtable record that we're going to create, as well as it's going to generate a proposal email to send to the client. All right, so let's jump into the implementation. All right, so what we have here is a webhook. It is basically an endpoint out there on the internet that any tool can send data to trigger this process. All right, you typically don't want to share the webhook URL. I'm going to show it for you guys. I'm probably going to turn this off later. Please don't blow up my automation. I'll be very sad. All right. So don't let people see your webhook URLs because they'll be able to access your automation from anywhere in the world. All right. But this is what allows Fireflies to, when it's completed transcribing a meeting, to tell my automation to start running. It's going to send the meeting ID of that particular meeting to my automation. And then the next step, we're going to use that particular meeting ID to pull these details from the meeting in Fireflies. All right. So we send in that transcript ID that allows us to pull in all the nitty-gritty details of that meeting in Fireflies. As you can see, we've got the speakers, we've got the time, we've got every sentence that was said in the whole call. It gets really, really, really serious. Like I'm telling you, the detail is amazing. And that's what we're going to use to feed into our AI model to generate the deal intelligence, which happens in the next step. So in this next step, we're still using Anthropic Claude, but we're going to use the built-in Make AI toolkit module, which allows us to do a few other things to make it really easy to pull out certain variables from our transcript. So I'm using the Claude Haiku 4.5 model. I'm using that just because it's a lightweight, cheaper model. I don't need anything that's too heavy and expensive because I'm going to be giving it a lot of information and I want to keep the cost low and I want to make sure it runs really fast. And so I'm using the Haiku model. This is about the lowest model that you can use to the API. I pass in the body of the transcript API call. I want to pull out certain information. So in these next variables, I'm essentially telling the AI model what variables I want to pull out of the call. So I want to pull out the prospect name. I want to pull out the contact name. I want to pull out the contact email, industry, pain points, the proposed solution, budget signal, timeline signal, call summary, and the estimated value of the deal. All right. And again, if you want any of these resources, you can literally take my entire scenario and pull it into your own make instance and start using this. Just plug in your own connections and whatnot, and you can start using this today if you really wanted to. So as I mentioned, the link to my community is below in the description. All of this is ready for you to drag and drop into your own make instance and start playing with. All right. So the next step is my Anthropic Claude module. I'm using this particular module instead of the Make AI Toolkit module because there's different settings that I want to configure. I want to configure, for example, the max tokens. I don't want to allow it to use too many tokens because I'm going to be using a more expensive model in Claude Sonnet 4.5. And that is because I want the best possible writing in my Google Doc, and this module is taking care of creating the Google Doc content. All right. So there's two messages that I'm going to pass in. First is the assistant role message, where I'm going to set up the prompt that I want the AI model to use to generate the content for the Google Doc. So I'm telling it the structure of the document, particular details about how I want the information to be laid out so it fits well in my document, the deliverables, investment, next steps, and then I also am using it to generate and write the email afterwards to use in Gmail. All right. That's the first message. And the second message is the user role message. The user role is the information I want to pass in that's specific to this particular run. So I want to pass in the prospect name, the date of the call, contact name, etc. And all of that is going to be used to generate the Google Doc in the next step. What is really cool about Google Docs is that you can set up a template where you can essentially have these variables. And these variables, this is actually something that is built in Google Docs. I don't know if many people know about this, but if you use the API, you can generate documents using these variables in the template. And in our scenario, we're essentially I'm setting up the variables that you saw in the document, the prospect name, date, problem, solution, deliverables, etc. And I can give a title to the document. So all of that happens because I set up the template from the very beginning to have those spaces and variables that I can fill in through the API. So I create that Google Doc, and then I create an Airtable record, because you can have a workflow, but if you don't have a central place to track all the information that's coming in and going out of the workflow, it's really not going to be scalable, and it's not going to be something that you can see and oversee as the human in the loop for your process. So this Airtable database that I built allows me to see every single time that I've created a proposal, and I can move all of these proposals through the process and through the pipeline from proposal ready to proposal sent, closed won, etc. And I can see all the data that my AI model is generating from the process in a much more clean, consolidated view. All right. I also have all the links to the Fireflies transcript, the proposal, the call summary details, pain points, etc., all in one place. All right. So I'm generating that Airtable record. I'm setting the deal stage to proposal ready. I'm linking that proposal from the Google Doc module, and I'm pulling in all these AI details, or these details from the AI model that have been generated in previous steps. And then the last step is to create a draft in Gmail. So in Gmail, I'm going to be pulling in the contact email. I'm going to be pulling in the subject line, and then I'm going to be pulling in the detail from the Anthropic Claude module of the email content, as well as the link to the document in Google. And I can pull in my signature, which is, just a nice little plus, so that I don't have to do much other than just click send. So it pulled in that person's email, pulled in the proposal subject line, and all the details. That is exactly how it works. Everything from beginning to end. If you want to build this yourself, I'm not gatekeeping. All this is accessible in my community. You can start using it today, and it's there for you to use, start as a boilerplate, build on it as you want to, and just go out there and be successful. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.